Stage 6 that I recommend would be fast chaining. So that's where we take a beat and we move to the first note of the next beat. So let me show you how that looks and sounds. Now before I go on, I was happy with that, but if I weren't happy with that, I would practice that until I could do that beautifully. Now, and I'm using my floating fermata, which is an imaginary pause that I'm sticking onto the note, the first note of the group, and I rest on that, or I take as much time as I need before I commence. Think what you're doing, visualize it. See what's going there? So each one of those groups of 4 is a link in a chain, a link in a longer chain. Now let me do whole bar chains. So that was beats. Now let me do whole bars. Effectively joining 2 groups together. And then. You see how that works? Now I'm going to do backward chaining, which really involves just simply taking the last group. I'm now in bar 98, all the way over at the end of my chain, just playing, making sure that's happy and comfortable. Now I'm going to add the group before it, and then the group before that, and so on until I get back to the beginning. Be creative. One day do forward chaining, the next day do backward chaining. Now let me show you stage 7 of 8. Stage 7 is really just playing the lines. If you think of this as being a series of chords that are just broken up. We did that at stage 1, there was the blocking. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the outer line just simply play my 5th fingers. There's 1 4th finger that I use here. I find that more comfortable to use as a 4. Everything else is pinky. So 5, 4, and then everything 5. Now let me do, this is a little artificial, but it's very useful to know what the thumbs are doing. Just simply play my thumb line. You've guessed it, there's one more note I have to account for, which is the middle note. Effectively we've got a 3-note chord, haven't we? So let me take the middles. Now that's interesting. That showed me that the first time I play that C in the left hand is with the 3rd finger, and then I play it with the 2nd finger thereafter. So I might not have noticed that had I just been playing it in the context. So if I can do this really beautifully from the beginning to the end, really keeping my concentration on what I'm doing, making sure that I'm using the fingering that I would be using in the finished result at every stage, every practice stage. Now the last one I want to show you is 6s. Again, all these expressions, they're just jargon really. All I'm doing is taking a pair of notes, the first 2 notes of the passage, and I'm making a subdivision of 6. So I'm doing 2 triplets. Do you see what's involved in that? And I can put the accent on that note and then that note. So both notes of the pair receive the accent in that format. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the value of that, you may be asking, what's the value of that? It really focuses the mind and the body on the rotations that are involved. So after you've gone through all those processes, you should find you're in a much stronger position to play that now. If you listen to the beginning of this video, that was kind of unpracticed, what I did at the very beginning. Having gone through those stages, I'm finding that that passage is flying out of my fingers with no problem whatsoever. What I suggest with the cue spots, as you'll know if you've been following the series, don't just do that once. Do it several times over the course of some days, maybe 3 or 4 days, however many days you feel necessary, and then return to it at some point in the future if you should find that passage starting to deteriorate. It's a whole lot of different procedures, different stages. 8 I have here. I probably could go on and find more. You might find that after you've gone through these 8, others pop up for you and you can be very creative. You might even try transposing, maybe. Anyway, I hope that's given you a few ideas for practicing. Try them out. You'll be very, very happy with the result.